Today, we are diving into something that could genuinely change how you see the world. It's a whole new science of system survival. We're going to explore a set of universal laws that explain why some things last and why other things, even the most successful ones, just fall apart. And all of this is based on an incredible work called Deterministic Law by Ernesto Lopez. Now, this isn't just another business book or some self-help guide. No, this presents a formal science, a set of verifiable laws that apply to, well, everything. Empires, companies, even our own lives. Okay, let's get into it. So, let's kick things off with the big question, right? We've all seen this happen. You have a company that's totally dominating its field, and then bam, it's bankrupt. Or a brilliant person whose career just implodes. Or an empire that stands for 1,000 years and then just vanishes. How does that happen?
Well, the answer this science gives us is that it's probably not for the reasons you think. It's not about a lack of skill, or money, or smarts. It's about something way deeper, the loss of coherence. That's the system's ability to act like a single, unified whole. Once that coherence starts to go, the system begins to crack from the inside, even if it looks totally successful on the outside. And that is the real reason things fall apart.
All right, so to really put these laws to the test, we need a real-world lab. And honestly, there's no better case study than the Roman Empire. But we're not going to look at this like a history lesson. Think of it as the ultimate test of these universal laws in action.
Now, this is where it gets really cool. I want you to think of Rome not as an empire, but as a computer program that ran for centuries, a massive execution environment. It was huge. It was constantly getting hit with bugs and pressure from the outside, and it had to keep processing new information, new data for hundreds of years. This makes it the absolute perfect system to study what happens when the core code, those laws of coherence, starts to break down.
And this leads us to the biggest mistake that nearly every complex system makes. Whether it's ancient Rome or a brand new startup, they confuse the fact that they're surviving with proof that they are structurally sound. But listen, just because you're still standing today doesn't mean you're not about to collapse tomorrow. And that is a really dangerous illusion. So, how do you avoid that trap? Well, this science of determinism starts with one single foundational principle, the law of staying whole. This is the absolute bedrock of survival. Everything else is built on this. And here it is, the first and most critical law, the immutable law of containment. It's simple, but it's profound. A system can only progress if it stays whole. Any step forward that forces you to break off a piece of yourself or your team or your company, that's not actually progress. It's an invalid move. You cannot build real progress on a foundation of loss, period.
And look at this, it's even expressed as a formula. This shows you the scientific precision we're talking about. Progress is only possible if integrity equals 1, meaning it's 100% whole. It's binary. There's no such thing as mostly whole. The second your integrity drops below 1, progress isn't just difficult, it becomes impossible. The system is officially broken.
Now, this idea completely flips our modern obsession with resilience on its head. We love to talk about resilience, right? Bouncing back. But check out this quote. Recovery is not proof of strength, it is proof of prior failure. A system that is constantly recovering is just a system that has gotten used to breaking. It's a sign of a really deep structural problem. And here's how this applies directly to you, to your own inner operating system. That whole hustle till you burn out culture, according to this law, that's an invalid path to growth. The romantic idea that you need a breakdown to get a breakthrough, also invalid. The bottom line is powerful. You do not have to break yourself to become stronger.
Okay, so if the golden rule is stay whole, then how do things fall apart? Well, it's almost never one big dramatic event. It's more like a slow, secret collapse from within. And this science actually gives us the names for these invisible culprits.
It happens through a process called drift accumulation. Just think of it like a series of tiny compromises you make, little deviations from your core principles. Each one seems tiny, harmless on its own, but they add up. They accumulate like rust, slowly eating away at the system's integrity until the whole thing is just fragile.
And it happens in 3 predictable stages. First, there's a small violation, and you justify it. You say, it's just this once. Then, stage 2, it happens again and again, and that one-time exception becomes the new rule. And finally, you get to stage 3, structural blindness. The system is so far gone it can't even tell what's coherent anymore. The broken way has become the only way it knows.
So what lets all this drift happen in the first place? Well, a big one is something the science calls ego.
But hold on. This is not ego like we normally think of it. It's not about being arrogant. In this system, ego is a technical term. It's any process that cares more about protecting a story, about looking good, than it does about the cold, hard, accurate facts of the situation. It's the part of the system that fights against necessary corrections.
And it is absolutely crucial not to confuse ego with impunity. Look at this. They are polar opposites. Ego stops you from making authorized, internal corrections. It's the CEO who won't listen to bad news from his own team. That's ego destroying the company from the inside. Impunity, on the other hand, is a strength. It protects the system from unauthorized, external changes. It's the company that sticks to its mission, even when some new fad comes along. So, ego destroys you from within, impunity protects you from the outside.
Now, you might be thinking, does this mean a healthy system never fails or has problems? No way. In fact, it's the total opposite. A truly healthy system has a powerful engine built right in for turning failures and constraints into pure fuel for growth.
And this is the law of constraint-derived knowledge. It says that every single time you hit a wall, every time you face a constraint, you are being handed brand new knowledge. Setbacks themselves aren't damaging. They only become damage when you misinterpret them, when you give the setback the authority to define you, instead of just treating it as useful data.
And Rome is the perfect example of this. Early Rome, when they lost a battle, they didn't get traumatized, they treated it as pure information. They learned about their enemy's weapons, their supply lines, and the system got stronger. But later Rome, they started treating defeat as damage. It became about politics and shame. The system stopped learning and just started breaking.
So how do you correctly integrate all that new knowledge you get from failure? You do it through the law of versioned response. This idea comes straight from software development. You don't just react to new information. You deliberately, consciously create a new version of yourself, version 2.0, that fully incorporates what you just learned.
And this is so different from recovery. Recovery is all about denial. It's trying to get back to a past state that doesn't even exist anymore. Versioning is about accuracy. It accepts reality. It says, okay, that happened. Given this new data, this is who we are now. It's about moving forward, not trying to go back.
Oh man, I absolutely love this line from the book. It just nails the whole concept. After a major failure, a new, stronger Rome was compiled, like a piece of software, with all the bug fixes and lessons learned. It wasn't just restored back to its old, flawed version.
So to wrap all this up, I want to leave you with a question so you can apply this incredible science to your own world. Think about a system in your life right now. Maybe it's your career, a relationship, your health. Which one do you feel is accumulating drift? And more importantly, can you pinpoint the very first small deviation you tolerated that sent it down that path? Because finding that, that's the first step to getting your coherence back.